The night had started as laughter and flashing lights, a celebration of freedom after months of hard work. Emma hadn't planned on drinking that much. She was usually the quiet one, the one who looked after everyone else. But that night, she was tired of holding herself together. Her breakup with Dylan had shattered her heart, and for once, she wanted to forget who she was. So she let her friends hand her one drink after another until the world blurred, and the noise became distant. The last thing she remembered was someone helping her to a car as her head spun and her eyelids grew heavy. When she woke up, sunlight was filtering through soft white curtains. Her head throbbed, and the smell of coffee filled the air. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. Then she saw the unfamiliar room, a cozy space with a small plant on the nightstand and a framed photo of a man with a little girl smiling on the dresser. Panic surged through her chest. She sat up quickly, realizing she wasn't wearing her shoes, and her dress from last night was slightly wrinkled. Before she could make sense of it, the door opened gently. A man stood there, holding a tray with coffee and toast. He looked about 35, tall, calm, and kind-eyed. "You're awake," he said softly, a smile tugging at his lips. "You must have quite a headache. I'm Jack. You don't remember much, do you?" Emma's face flushed with embarrassment. "Oh my God, where am I? What happened?" Jack chuckled lightly, setting the tray down. "You're safe. You were at the party next door to my place. I found you outside sitting on the curb, crying. You dropped your phone, and you could barely walk. I didn't want to leave you there, so I brought you here. My daughter was asleep, so I put you in the guest room." Emma blinked in disbelief. "So, nothing happened." "Nothing happened," he assured quickly, his tone gentle but firm. "You were just a girl who needed a safe place to sleep." Relief flooded her, followed by a strange warmth. No one had ever shown her kindness without expecting something in return. She sipped the coffee he offered and tried to smile. "Thank you, Jack. I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," he replied. "Just, maybe try eating something. You look like you could use it." As she ate, she noticed a small figure peek from behind the door, a little girl, maybe 5 or 6, with curly brown hair and bright eyes. "Daddy, who's that lady?" she whispered shyly. Jack smiled at her. "That's Emma. She wasn't feeling well, so she's staying for breakfast." The girl smiled and waved. "Hi, Emma, I'm Lily." Something inside Emma softened instantly. There was such pure innocence in Lily's voice that it broke through the fog of her hangover. "Hi, Lily," she said, smiling back. "That's a beautiful name." Over the next hour, Emma listened to Jack and Lily talk about their morning routines. She learned that Jack was a single dad who worked from home, balancing his job and raising Lily after his wife had passed away 3 years ago. There was strength in his eyes, but also a quiet sadness, like a man who had learned to smile even when it hurt. As Emma prepared to leave, she hesitated at the door. "You didn't have to help me, but you did. Thank you. People don't usually do that." Jack looked at her for a moment and said, "You look like you needed someone to be kind." "I've learned that one act of kindness can change a person's whole day." Something about his words stayed with her. She exchanged numbers with him before leaving, promising to return his jacket that he'd placed over her the night before. She thought it would end there, a one-time moment of gratitude, but fate had other plans. Days later, she stopped by his house again, not just to return the jacket, but because something pulled her there. Lily ran to the door first, hugging her legs as if they were already friends. Jack invited her in for coffee again, and this time, the conversation flowed easily. Emma found herself laughing, really laughing, for the first time in months. Weeks passed, and her visits became more frequent. She helped Jack with small things, reading to Lily, cooking dinner, or just sitting on the porch talking about life. Emma opened up about her heartbreak, her loneliness, and her fear of not being enough. Jack listened without judgment, his calm presence soothing her like quiet sunlight after a storm. One evening, as they watched Lily fall asleep on the couch, Jack turned to Emma. "You know," he said softly, "you came into our lives on a night you thought was your worst. But maybe it was the night that changed everything." Emma's eyes welled with tears. "I thought I was lost that night," she whispered, "but I think I found something, or someone." He reached over and took her hand, his touch gentle. Sometimes life brings broken people together so they can heal each other. Months later, what started as an accident became something beautiful. Emma found herself caring for Lily like she was her own, and in Jack, she found the kind of love that wasn't about passion or perfection, but peace. They didn't rush anything. They built trust slowly, with morning coffees, shared laughter, and quiet understanding. By the following Christmas, Emma stood in front of the same guest room where she had woken up scared and confused months ago. Now it was filled with warmth, decorations, and Lily's laughter echoing down the hall. Jack walked in, holding a cup of hot chocolate, and smiled. "Funny how life works, huh?" Emma smiled back, tears in her eyes. "Yeah, I came here lost, and now this feels like home." Jack leaned in, whispering, "Maybe that's what love is, not something you plan, but something that finds you when you least expect it." And as snow began to fall outside the window, Emma finally felt it, the peace she'd been searching for. The night she thought was her lowest became the beginning of everything beautiful. It was a story not about mistakes, but about second chances. About how sometimes, the right people come into your life exactly when you've stopped believing they ever would.